Now we've got some wonderful guests with us and they'll be joining us throughout the entire program. At this stage we're joined by Gauri Maulekhi, a trustee for People for Animals. We're also joined by Justice K.S. Radhakrishnan, the former judge of the Supreme Court of India. Gauri, let me come to you first. How is animal cruelty impacting society at large?
Let me start that with an example.
Sure.
There have been world famous serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, the latest Texas shooter, the child who killed another 19 children, gunned them down. They all started their criminal career by being cruel to animals.
Right.
They, as children, were never told that it's incorrect to kick a dog or to poke the eye out of a kitten, and continued to test their boundaries till they started harming children, harming people.
Sure.
Now, acts of cruelty are actually symptomatic of deep mental disturbance. We have established that repeatedly through several researches. In fact, it's proven that 100% of sexual offenders in Australia who were researched were all criminal offenders of animal abuse as well. Closer to India, in India here in Hoskas, a man was seen killing puppies with a penknife, and later was discovered that he was doing the same thing to his girlfriend. Now, we have to, in order to stop people from being abusive to humans, start making animal crime a punishable offense, and the law being a deterrent to such offenses. Right. Currently, we have very weak laws which are not really being a deterrent, but we also have to understand that children who are abusive to animals basically come from families where there is a pecking order of abuse. Sometimes, for instance, a Hyderabad case where children were burning puppies alive were found to be abused by their parents when they were taken before a juvenile justice court. So we need to recognize animal crime as a symptom of sickness in society. Once we recognize that, then we need to make laws to prevent it, laws that are acting as a deterrent. And currently we need a lot of policy reform and legal framework to prevent animal abuse, not looking at it as some kind of animal loving situation, but a law and order situation which has consequences on human population.
Gauri, now we were talking about animal cruelty. How can policies ensure that animal suffering is brought down? We're also discussing how there are certain laws. It's about the implementation. I'd also like to point out that in India we don't allow wild animals in circuses. That's something very to be appreciated. We also don't allow animal testing for cosmetics, and all this was brought about because of campaigns, etc., that were run by NGOs. So it's interesting, but yes, tell us how to make the policies more effective.
Yes, as and when we progress in science, our laws have to catch up. While wild animals are not allowed in circuses, there's still a lot of dogs, horses, whatever. Sure. So I'm saying the policy has to catch up a lot. Recently, 140 members of parliament have written to the Honorable Prime Minister to amend the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. But there is a certain sense of lethargy and not really prioritizing animal welfare or looking at it in silos as if it's just a separate subject. We need to make our policies catch up with the science that is already established. So that's one basic thing. It's very easy for us in our Indian culture because we already have a strong ground of ahimsa on which our civilization is based. We already have the constitutional provisions where it's the fundamental duty of every citizen to be compassionate, to have a spirit of humanism and scientific inquiry. So we have, of course, examples from so many countries where, animal cruelty is punishable by very, very harsh penalties. I would like to add here that unless there is good budgetary allocation from the central and state governments, whatever policies we make will remain unenforced. We also need a departmental infrastructure. Like the Animal Welfare Board of India exists at the central level, we need a state animal welfare board at the state level and the SPCAs at district level, like we have in other departments.
So everyone needs to work together, authorities, communities, NGOs, etc., all coming together. Thank you so much, Gauri, for joining us on the program.